Let's just reach into our butterfly posture. So the feet are out in a diamond shape. The knees are rolling out to the side. Sit forward with the sit bones, so lengthen out through the spine. Take the gaze ahead. And then just gently see if you can fold down. So it doesn't really matter how far down you go. Just push out through the sit bones, push out through the crown of the head. Try and lengthen up through the spine. You just feel a nice deep opening up through the outside edge of the hips. Now slowly taking the gaze forward, let's start to raise up through the torso. We're just going to release and draw the legs towards each other, and then just releasing the legs over to the left. Let's meet into our tabletop. Planting the hands down onto the mat. Inhaling, taking the gaze forward, just dip the spine down. As we exhale, let's just round the spine and tuck the head. Inhaling, gazing forward. Exhaling round. Now bringing the hands back towards the knees. Let's start to release ourselves up into kneeling. So you might just want to play around with this. This is a drill that I do for working for drop back. So my knees are separated hip width apart. The hips are over the knees. Bringing my hands into heart center, bringing them into prayer. So pushing the hips forward, we're going to inhale, release the torso back. Exhaling, drawing that back up. So you should really feel it down the front of the quads. So inhale, draw the torso back. Exhale, bring that back up to standing. Inhaling, dropping that back, keep the core engaged, suck into the lower belly. Exhale, bring that all the way back up to kneeling. Let's do two more. Inhale, drop that back. Exhale, draw that forward. Last one. Inhale, dropping back. You're willing to feel it into the front of the thighs. Exhale, drawing forward. Perfect. Now releasing the bottom down towards the heels. Let's just take the hands behind us, resting the hands down onto the mat. Let's inhale, lift the hips up, opening up through the front of the thighs. So you're just stretching out through the quadriceps here, stretching out through the hip flexors. Now slowly releasing the bottom back to the heels. Let's bring the hands forward. Let's raise back up onto the knees. Again, bringing the hands into heart center, perhaps separating the knees a little bit further if you need to. Engaging through the quadriceps. Let's inhale, hinge that back. Exhale, push that back up to kneeling. Again, we'll do four more. Inhale, push back. Exhale, back to kneeling. Inhaling, releasing backwards, activate the quads. Exhale, draw that forward. Two more, inhaling. Exhale, you should really feel it into the quads. Last one, inhale. See how far back you can go. Exhale, draw that forward. Again, taking the hands down, let's release the hands behind us. Let's just have a little stretch out through the quads. Just lifting the hips up towards the sky. Then gently releasing the bottom down towards the heels. Let's just take the hands forward. Just remobilizing through the vertebrae. Inhale, take the gaze forward. Exhale, let's just round the spine, separate the shoulder blades, push that spine up towards the sky. Inhaling, rounding the spine downwards. Tailbone up. Exhale, arching back through the spine. Now spreading the hands out wide, turn the inner elbows to face the short edge of the mat. Let's just tuck the toes. We're going to move into our downward facing dog. So just have a little pedal out here. Just perhaps release any tension that you're feeling in the legs. This is an excellent posture for many things, including the legs. It really allows you to open up through the calf muscles. So just perhaps gently pedal side to side. So you're lowering one heel down to the mat, and then gently bending the other knee and lowering the other heel down to the mat. So just have a few bits of movement here, just working into it gently. The heels don't need to release down on the mat. The feet need to be around hip distance apart. You're drawing up through the quadriceps, so really activate the front of your legs. Draw the kneecaps up the thighs. See if you can draw the thigh bones inside of the hip sockets. Just pushing the chest back towards the standing leg. Roll the inner elbows to face each other and keep the shoulders away from the ears. Okay, now inhaling, gazing forward, let's just bend the knees. Let's step all the way up to the head of the mat. So as you step up to the head of the mat, separate the feet out, hip distance apart. Inhaling, gazing forward. And then exhaling, folding down. So perhaps you release the hands down to the mat, or perhaps you just grab alternate elbows. So just take the variation that suits you. You're trying to stack the ankles, knees, and hips in one nice long straight line. Lifting the sit bones up to the sky. Just drawing the chest back towards the thighs. Just allowing the hamstrings to open. Now gradually releasing the arms. Let's start to ragdoll the body all the way up to standing. Just releasing the feet back towards each other. So we're just going to take a couple of sun salutations just to warm up through the whole body. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up to the sky, push out through the fingertips. As we exhale, we swan dive forward, hinging from the hips, keeping the legs straight. Inhale, take the gaze ahead, take the hands onto the shins. As we exhale, plant the hands down, bend the knees. Let's step all the way back and meet into a high plank, engaging through the core. Just lowering the knees to the mat, turn the inner elbows to face the short edge of your mat. Drawing the elbows into the side ribs. Let's lower the chest and chin. We're going to roll that either into a low cobra, or you can bring it all the way into an up dog where you're resting onto the top of the feet. Again, activate the quads. Just allow the belly to drop. Then turning over through the toes, let's draw that all the way back and meet that into a downward facing dog. Taking the gaze forward, bend the knees, let's step all the way up to the head of the mat. Let's exhale, fold that down here. Inhaling, pushing out through both feet, let's sweep the arms all the way up, allow the palms to touch. Exhaling, releasing that back into heart center. Let's do one more. Inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, hinge from the mid-body, draw that all the way down into a forward fold. Inhale, taking the gaze ahead, perhaps up onto the fingertips. Bending the knees, planting the hands down and meeting back into a high plank. So stepping the legs back, let's meet into that high plank. So it's always the option to lower to knees here, or you can come with me into chaturanga. We draw the inner elbows to face the short edge of the mat, elbows skim the side ribs. Let's roll over the toes, draw it all the way through into an up dog. Again, activate your quads. Exhale, pushing out through the heels, draw it back into a downward facing dog. Again, in bending the knees, let's take the gaze forward. Let's make our way all the way up to the head of the mat. Let's exhale, fold that down. Inhale, pushing out through both feet. Let's draw that all the way up to standing. Exhaling, releasing into heart center. Perfect. Okay, so now working into the legs. Let's inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive forward. So keeping the fingers out on the mat in front of you. Perhaps you may need to use a block or a prop. We're going to take a slight bend through that left knee. We're going to lift the right leg up. See if we can lengthen that right leg all the way away with the toes pointing down. Engage through both legs now. Try and straighten out through both legs. See if you can release the hands off the mat. Perhaps you're drawing out airplane arms, palms facing down. Try and gaze at something steady, something that doesn't move. Let's take a few breaths here. Really engage that left quad. Push out through the right heel. Keep the standing leg strong. Now slowly starting to draw the hands back down to the mat. Let's draw that right leg down to meet the left. Inhaling, gaze forward. Exhaling, folding down. Now inhale, take the gaze forward again. Keeping the hands or perhaps resting onto a block or a book. Let's see if we can draw the left leg back. Activate that right quad. Push out through the left heel. Align the left hip with the right. Really straighten out through the right leg now. See if you can lift the torso. Aeroplane the arms, palms facing down. See if you can gaze at something that doesn't move. I'm gazing at my shadow, which is moving like mad. So keeping both legs nice and straight and strong. Connect with the breath. Nice deep inhales. Nice deep exhales. Let's slowly bring this all the way back to the midline, releasing the hands down to the mat. Let's rebend that left leg. Then you bring it back into the right. Inhaling, gazing forward. Exhaling, bending the knees, plant the hands down. Let's meet that all the way back into a downward facing dog. So just having a little paddle out here. So now grounding down through the left foot. We're going to lift the right leg all the way up to the sky. As we bend that right knee, we're going to draw the right knee into the chest, hover it forward. See if you can stack the shoulders over the wrists. Suck that right thigh into the belly. Now planting the right foot at the head of the mat. You're going to push out through that left heel. Activate that left leg. Releasing the arms behind you. Let's inhale, sweep the body all the way up and meet into a crescent lunge. So activate the left leg, push out through the left heel, sink down into that right thigh. Just taking a couple of breaths here. Try and make the right leg parallel with the mat. Keep the left quad activated. Let's release the hands out at shoulder height. So you're releasing the hands out more than mat width apart with the palms facing up. Sinking down into that right thigh. From here, we're going to see if we can draw the left hand forward, take the right hand back, twist the chest towards your side wall. Again, sinking down into that right thigh. Now, slowly as we bring that back to center, try and bring it all the way back. This time, the right hand's going forward. You're releasing the left heel onto the mat. We're meeting into a warrior two. The palms are still facing up. You're bending through that right leg. The left leg is active and straight. Now releasing the left hand down that back leg. Let's sweep that right arm all the way overhead and meet into a reverse warrior. So you're stretching out through the side leg. Sorry, stretching out through the side waist. You're still bending into that right leg. Perfect. Let's see if we can draw that all the way back. We're going to release the hands now, palms facing down. We're going to straighten out through the right leg and meet into the shape of an X. Now bringing the heels in, the toes are out, you're facing the long edge of the mat. Let's start to lower the legs down. So you're coming into a goddess in the lower body. So sink the hips down nice and deep. Make sure that the knees aren't rolling up, in. Perhaps you lift up through the toes. Let's release the hands behind the head. Just interlacing the fingers. Let's just drop the hips down a little further. Make sure the knees aren't rolling in. From here, we're going to inhale, roll that to the right. Exhaling, drawing that back to center. Let's inhale, drop that over to the left. Exhale, draw that back to center. Now let's just release the hands overhead. Turn the palms away, draw the triceps back behind the ears. Inhale, push out through the hands. Exhale, sink down into the hips. Nice. Let's release this back to a warrior two. So you're releasing the hands out shoulder height. We're going to straighten out through the left leg, keeping that right leg bent. Make sure the right knee's not rolling in, the torso central. Palms are now facing down. We're going to release the right hand down on the inside of that right leg. There's an option possibly to release the right elbow onto the right thigh if you prefer, but draw the left hand up towards the sky. Still keeping that right leg bent. Excellent. See if you can gaze up towards the left fingertips. Let's see if we can draw this back to a warrior two. So as you push that all the way back up, still bending through that right thigh. We're going to draw the left hand forward now, raise up onto the left toes. This time you're releasing the left hand down on the inside of that right foot. Sweep the right hand all the way up to the sky. Stack the shoulders, see if you can gaze up towards the right fingertips. Still activate through that left quad, pushing out through the left fin heel. From here, let's see if we can draw this back to our involved crescent. So as we draw this all the way up, the right hand is back, left hand is now forward. Let's drop that right hand down the back leg. Raise the left arm all the way overhead. Perfect. Now slowly bringing the gaze back to center. Let's bring that right arm back to center. As we hinge that forward, we're going to plant the hands down onto the mat. Perhaps walk the right foot slightly forward. We're meeting into a long lunge here. Just sink the hips down. Pushing out through the back foot. Still bending through that right leg. Let's see if we can aeroplane the arms out with the palms facing down. Right leg should be talking to you. Left leg should be joining in. Now slowly releasing the hands down to the mat. Let's draw that right leg all the way back down the mat. And let's meet into a downward facing dog. So just have a little pedal out here. Just release any tension into the legs. And then let's take that over to the left. So as you inhale the left leg up towards the sky, you draw and engage that left knee in. So you suck the left leg into the belly, hinge forward, stack the shoulders over the wrists. Let's just plant the left foot at the head of the mat. Push out to the right heel, activate the right quad. Let's sweep the arms behind us. Then pushing out through both feet, let's draw that all the way up and meet into a crescent lunge. Sink down into that left thigh. Push out through the right heel. Let's just release the hands out at shoulder height. So they're mat width or more apart, the palms are facing up. Sinking down into that left leg, keep the torso central. Let's bring the right hand forward, take the left hand back, twist to face your side wall. Sink down into that left thigh a little bit more. Keep that right quad activated. Now drawing that back through center. As we reach center, we start to swizzle it to the way. So the left hand comes forward, we're releasing the right heel onto the mat, straighten out through that right leg. Still bend into that left thigh, torso central, make sure the left knee's not rolling in. Releasing the right hand down that back leg. Let's sweep the left arm all the way overhead and meet into reverse warrior. Perfect. Let's sink down into that left leg. Okay, drawing that back to a warrior two. Palms are now facing down. Let's start to straighten out through that left leg. Turn the left toes in. Let's face the long edge of the mat. We're going to meet back into our goddess. So you're sinking the hips down. Make sure that the toes, perhaps you lift the toes off the mat to make sure the knees aren't rolling in. Just activate the inside of the legs. That's it. So you're sinking down nice and deep. Perfect. Again, bringing the hands behind the head, interlace the fingers. Let's slowly drop the right elbow towards the right thigh. Sinking down nice and deep. Exhaling, drawing that back through center. Inhale, let's lower left. Exhale, draw center. Inhaling. Exhale, sink down deeper. Now releasing the hands. Let's just turn the palms away. Draw the triceps back to the ears. Excellent. Let's release the fingers now. Bring the hands out of shoulder height, palms facing down. We're going to bring this back to a warrior two. So you're straightening out through the right leg, turning the right toes in, bending through that left thigh, hinging into your warrior two. Perfect. Let's see if we can bring this into a side angle. So we're dropping the left hand down on the inside of that left foot, raising the right arm up towards the sky, pushing out through the fingertips. Really sink down into that left thigh. Okay, we're going to see if we can bring this back to a warrior two. So leaving the legs where they are, leaving them strong. Let's draw that all the way back to a warrior two. Perfect. Let's sweep the right hand all the way forward, raise up onto the right toes, meet that into a crescent lunge. Now drawing the right hand down on the inside of that left foot. Let's sweep the left hand all the way up to the sky, revolve lunge. Make sure you're still pushing out through the right heel. You're not bending through that right leg, but you're making that left thigh parallel with the mat. Let's bring this back to revolve crescent. So you're raising the torso all the way up, right hand forward, left hand back. Now drawing that left hand all the way forward, let's meet that into a crescent lunge. Hinging all the way forward, reaching out with the fingertips. Let's draw them down onto the mat. Perhaps lengthen out through the stance. Keep the legs activated. Let's see if we can release the hands off the mat. Palms facing down, aeroplane arms. Left leg talking to you. Now slowly releasing the hands down onto the mat. Let's draw that all the way back and let's move into a downward facing dog. So just having a little pedal out here, just releasing tension into the legs. Perhaps we have a gentle sway side to side. Now starting to walk the hands back towards the feet slightly. Bring the hands out at mat width apart. Bring the feet out at mat width apart. So the outside edges of the feet are on the outside edges of the mat. Bring the left hand onto the right ankle or shin. Keep the gaze underneath that right arm and twist. See if you can gaze up towards the ceiling. Now slowly bringing the gaze back to center. Let's just release that left hand back onto the mat. Now pushing down through the left hand, let's take the right hand onto the left ankle or shin. Gaze underneath that left shoulder. Perfect. So you're just twisting from the mid-spine. Gently bringing that back to center. Let's just walk the hands back to where you got them from. Bring the feet back to hip distance. Inhaling, gazing forward. Let's bend the knees. Let's step all the way up to the head of the mat and forward fold from here. Pushing out through both feet. Let's draw that all the way up to standing. Exhaling, releasing the hands into heart center. Okay, grounding down through the left foot. We're going to draw the hands onto the hips. Just releasing the right leg up. You're going to see if you can straighten out through the right leg, point the right toes. Keep the core strong. Engage the pelvic floor. See if you can straighten out through that right leg. Try and make it parallel with the mat. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, draw the crown of the head up towards the sky. Doesn't matter if you lose your balance. Now slowly rebend the right leg. We're going to see if we can draw that all the way back. We're planting it down at the back of the mat. Releasing the toes down, meeting back into a crescent lunge, hands onto hips. Just slowly sinking down into that right knee. We're going to lower the right knee onto the mat, release the right toes. Let's just hinge the body slightly forward. So you're starting to stretch out through the right hip flexor. Perhaps bring the hands onto the knee now. Open the heart, pushing the chest away from that knee so you can take the gaze up towards the sky. Just releasing the hips down towards the mat. Now releasing the hands either side of that front leg. Let's see if we can straighten out through that left leg. We're going to draw the left toes back towards the face. Roll the right hip forward, draw that left hip back. Inhaling, gazing towards the toes. Let's exhale, fold that down. Now slowly rebending through that left leg. Let's start to tuck the back toes. Bring the hands back onto hips. Let's slowly lift that all the way back up. Pushing into the left foot. Let's see if we can draw that right leg all the way back and meet back at the head of the mat. Perfect. Hands back onto hips. Engage the core, draw up to the pelvic floor. Let's release that left leg up. Straighten out through the left leg. Point the left toes. Keep the left leg parallel with the mat. Keep the pelvic floor active. Engage the navel into the spine. Just looking ahead at something that doesn't move. Try and keep the spine nice and long. Grow length out the crown of the head. See if you can straighten up through both knees. Now slowly starting to bend that left leg. Keep control. Let's see if we can release the left leg all the way back down the mat. We're meeting into our crescent lunge. Just drawing the left toes down. Now bend through that right leg. Sink the hips down. We're going to slowly sink this all the way down until the left knee reaches the mat. Releasing the left foot. Keeping the hands onto the hips, just sink forward into that left hip. Perhaps now take the hands onto that right knee. Push the chest away from the knee. Create length in the front of the body. Take the gaze up towards your ceiling. Feel a nice stretch on that left hip flexor. Now slowly releasing the hands down to the mat. Let's draw and lengthen out through the right leg. Drawing the right toes back towards the face so you can straighten out through the right leg. Inhaling, gazing towards the toes. Exhaling, folding down. Drawing the right thigh bone inside of the hip socket, rolling that left hip bone forward. Square the hips to the short edge of the mat. Now slowly bringing the gaze forward. Let's start to re-bend through that right leg. Bringing the hands back onto the hips, raise the torso up. Let's tuck through the back toes. Slowly start to lift up through the back knee. And then with control, we're going to bring that left leg all the way back to meet the right leg at the head of the mat. Perfect. Let's just take another flow. Inhaling, sweeping the arms up. As we exhale, let's just hinge that forward. Inhaling, taking a nice flat back. Exhaling, planting the hands down. Let's just step back and meet into a high plank. Engage the core. Pushing out through the heels, activate the quads. Suck the navel into the spine. Nice deep breath here. Exhaling. Inhale. And as you exhale, perhaps you lower the knees to the mat or full chaturanga. Let's draw it all the way through an up dog. Exhaling, releasing that back and meeting into a downward facing dog. Now inhaling, gazing forward. Let's bend the knees, let's step that all the way up to the head of the mat. Let's exhale, fold that down. Inhale, sweeping that all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, releasing and keeping the hands into heart center. So just making sure you've got both the toes together, the ankles together and knees together. So your legs are like joined together. Let's start to sit down into our Utkatasana chair. So you're just sinking down nice and deep, keeping the knees together. Tuck the tailbone under, shorten the distance between the lower ribs and the pubic bone. Holding it here. Engage with your breath. So there's the option to stay here in your Utkatasana, or you can come with me. You take the weight into the left leg. Let's see if we can straighten out through that right leg. Push the right heel away. Inhaling. Exhale, sinking down into that left leg. Let's take another breath here. Inhale. Exhale, sinking down. Now slowly bending through that right leg. Let's replant that right foot down next to the left. Keeping the knees bent, keeping the tailbone tucked under. Let's take that to the other side. So planting down through the right foot. Let's see if we can draw that left leg off the mat. Flex out through the left foot. Push that left heel away. Inhale. Exhaling, sinking down into the hips. Inhaling. Exhale. Inhale. Now slowly bending that left leg. Let's bring it down to meet the right. Meet back in our Utkatasana. Final swan song, raising the arms up towards the sky, push out through the fingertips. Perhaps you have the energy to raise up onto the toes. Sit the bottom down a little deeper. Just reconnecting with the breath. Holding it here if you can. And then slowly releasing the heels down to the mat. Let's meet into a forward fold. Inhale, taking the gaze forward. Let's plant the hands down onto the mat. Let's step back and meet into a high plank. Now slowly lowering the knees down to the mat. Let's just separate the knees out, mat width apart. Draw the toes back to meet. Draw the bottom back towards the heels. And let's just stretch this out in a nice long wide child's pose. So you're just releasing the torso down. Just gradually inching the bottom back towards the heels. Just take a few breaths here. Again, reconnecting with your breath. So just gently starting to bring the hands back now. We're just going to release the legs out in front of us. Just give the legs a little shake. We haven't quite finished yet. Okay. So I think for some of you practiced with me before, we've done a posture where we hold it here and we lift one leg, lift the other. That's mainly working on the core. So if you want to work deeper into the legs and you're working into the quadriceps, but you're also working into hip flexors, you need to bring your hands a little bit further forward. So as you bring your hands forward, make sure that the hands are planted down onto the mat. So the fingers are spread wide. Pressing down through both hands. Engage the core, engage the pelvic floor, activate the quads. Let's inhale, lift the legs up and hold it here for 5. So that's 1. See if you can point the toes. Navel 45 degrees off the thighs. 2. Legs are probably shaking. 3. Make sure that you're still breathing. 4. And 5. Let's lower that down to the mat. Just give the legs a shake. That should be a bit of a killer. If it's too easy, then your hands are too far back. You need to move your hands a little bit further forward next time. Okay, so let's just roll down onto the mat now. And let's just bring ourselves into our bridge posture. So again, bridge posture can be used to strengthen the legs. So planting the feet down hip distance apart. Just making sure that you just about touch the heels. Plant the hands down onto the mat. Let's just lift the hips up towards the ceiling. So as you lift the hips up, you start to straighten out through the quads and you really stretch out through the front of the hip flexors, through the quadriceps. Perhaps you draw the hands back towards each other. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Draw and lengthen out through the elbows. Lift and open the heart up towards the sky. Lengthen out through the back of the neck. So you're pushing into the heels and lifting the hips up high. So there's always the option to stay here. Or if you want to come with me, you press down through the left foot. Engage the left glute. Let's see if we can lift that right leg all the way up to the sky. Push out through the right heel. Lifting the hips up higher. Really draw the right sole of the foot up towards the sky. Keep that left leg very active. Really lengthen out through the arms, draw the shoulder blades towards each other. Now slowly rebending the right leg. You plant the right foot back down onto the mat. Just equalize the body weight between the 2 feet. Just keeping the pelvis level. Again, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. We're now pushing out through the right heel. Let's lift the left leg all the way up to the sky. Flex out through the left foot, push out through the left heel. Let's see if you can push up the hips up a little higher. You feel it into the front of the right quadricep. Perhaps even stretching out through the left hamstring. Now slowly be bending that left leg. Let's slowly plant the left foot down on the mat. Push the hips up again, high as possible. And then gradually separating the hands out. Let's just gently wheel the spine down towards the mat. So just bringing it down 1 vertebrae at a time. And then drawing the knees into the chest. Just hug the knees in nice and tight. So keeping hold of the right knee, let's just lengthen that left leg away. So you lengthen it down the mat. You're going to take the right knee into the left hand, cactus the right arm out to the side. Just draw that right knee over towards the left and just take the gaze over your right shoulder. So you're trying to draw that right shoulder blade down onto the mat. Just taking a twist into the mid-spine. And slowly starting to draw that back through center. As you reach center, bring the left leg in. Just bringing both knees into the chest, hug them in tight. And then let's lower the right leg down, keeping hold of that left knee. Let's take that left knee into the right hand. Cactus the left arm out to the side. Rolling that left knee over to the right. Just gaze over the left shoulder. So you're taking a nice twist into the spine. You perhaps feel it onto the outside edge of the hip. And see if you can gaze over that shoulder. Now bringing that back through center. Let's bring both knees back into the chest again. And let's just take a happy baby as our last pose. So you're drawing the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, releasing the hands in between the feet. Perhaps you wrap the arms round and grab hold of the outside edges of the calves, or perhaps you bring the hands onto the top of the feet. Just keeping the base of the pelvis down onto the mat. Try not to lift up through the sit bones. Let's have a little gentle rock side to side onto the lower spine. So you're just releasing tension in the lower spine. You might feel an opening up through the inner thighs, through the groin area. And just use the weight of the arms. Just gently ease those knees either side of the shoulders. So when you're ready, you can slowly release the grasp onto the legs. Again, bringing the knees into the chest, push the lower spine down into the mat. And then gently release the legs down the mat. So you're releasing the feet out mat width apart. Just allow the toes to roll out and the heels to roll in. Just bring the palms down by the side of you with the palms facing up. And allow the shoulder blades to roll out onto the mat. And just bring yourself into your Shavasana. So you're just trying to create an inner peace for yourself. And just feel all the tension release from your body. As you allow the toes, ankles and knees to roll out to the side. And just feel that the hips open up. And the tension carried in the pelvis is just released out. Just allow the shoulder blades to roll out onto the mat. The collarbones to open. So let's just very slowly start to walk the feet back towards each other. Let's gently start to flex out and point through the toes. Let's just bring the arms down by the side of us. Just open up through the palms, stretch the fingers out, and then perhaps make fists with the fingers. And gently starting to re-engage the soles of the feet onto the mat. Start to push the lower spine down as you walk the feet up the mat. And just again, bringing the knees into the chest. So let's just have a gentle rock side to side onto the spine. Just gradually rolling until you eventually roll over towards the right. Just go slowly then pushing out through the left hand. Let's start to draw ourselves back up to Sita. So as you bring yourself back up to Sita, just bring the hands into heart center. And just try and keep the eyes closed if you can. Just always give yourself gratitude for your practice. We always focus very heavily on the things that we can't do. We never really applaud all the wonderful things that our bodies do achieve. So be truly grateful for all that. And remember that yoga is a journey with no destination. So just enjoy every little twist and turn it takes. Thank you very much for letting me guide you. Namaste.